like to begin by reading Psalm 30. It's a little longer than usual, not a lot longer, just a little longer than usual. It's worth reading it for the value of the psalm to us. So here we go. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up. You have not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. O Lord, you have brought up my soul from Sheol. You restored me to life from among those who go down to the pit. Sing praises to the Lord, O you his saints, and give thanks to his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment, and his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes in the morning. As for me, I said in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. By your favor, O Lord, you made my mountain stand strong. You hid your face. I was dismayed. To you, O Lord, I cry. To the Lord I plead for mercy. What profit is there in my death if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it tell of your faithfulness? Hear, O Lord, and be merciful to me. O Lord, be my helper. You have turned for me my mourning into dancing. You have loosed my sackcloth and clothed me with gladness, that my glory may sing your praise and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. This psalm carries the plot line of very nearly every movie you have ever seen. It begins with a happy life. It enters into a time of crisis and then finds itself restored. It's the plot line of the Bible, which we call creation, fall, restoration. We could say it is the plot line of every human life. It's a process that repeats over and over and over. And in this life, we will not be freed from it. It begins in good times. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up. These first few verses find the psalmist looking back over his life and finding himself in this great time. He gives praise to God. And then he reflects, I said in my prosperity, life is good. You hid your face. The bottom dropped out. Some crisis occurred. Everything is dark. And then he says, you have turned my mourning into dancing. Our psalm begins in praise. It prays boldly for release, even challenges God, and ends in thanksgiving. And it gives us a pattern by which we can both view and examine our life and pray appropriately. There are times of praise. There are times to pray for release. There are times to give thanksgiving. Always thanksgiving. If we look at the heading or title of the psalm, those little words at the very beginning that we usually skip over, we will note something interesting. It says, a psalm of David, a song at the dedication of the temple. And what makes this interesting here is that This is one of David's psalms. However, David had passed on before Solomon, his son, built the temple. It was used then by ancient Israel when the first temple was dedicated. It was used again when the temple was rebuilt after exile and rededicated yet again. It was used, we believe, when the temple had been desecrated and restored by Judas Maccabeus. And then Jesus comes along and gives this psalm an entirely new meaning. Remember with his disciples that he said, "Destroy this temple, and I will rebuild it in 3 days." Jesus had his times of exaltation. He rides into Jerusalem. There are palm branches, there are hallelujahs, there is a crowd singing praise. And then there is abandonment in the garden. Further abandonment at the cross. David only feels like he has been in the pit. Jesus has been in it. He has been crucified, dead, and buried. And then there's resurrection. Life begins anew. Following this pattern, we can use this prayer throughout the times of our life as we see this pattern unfold. And in the resurrection of Jesus, we can be sure of the promise that God will renew us every time. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and to give you peace. Amen.